Hey guys, welcome back. It's your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with something like way different than what I usually do. What's usually in my purview. Usually, I'm all about the analog, right? I always have the game in front of me, but I've had some requests recently to look into doing some digital stuff, some Vassal stuff, some games actually that are on Steam, that do have their board game versions of them, and talking with the designers, I've had to look into some new programs. So in that vein, I decided, okay, well, obviously I've been keeping track of the Metal C, so I've got the Vassal module for it. You can actually download it online for free to check out. So I went ahead and did that. And I figured I would just do a little practice video here to see how this all turns out. And in the process, to give myself something to do, I'd go ahead and take a look at the Vassal module. Now, I, truth be told, have not looked at the rules for the Metal C. Okay, so I don't know the specific differences yet. I just remember the basics from Thunder in the East when I did my big playthrough series on that. So with that knowledge, I'm going to kind of compare it to the Vassal module, to what I can see, and just kind of see what pops out at me and let you guys see some of the, stuff that's available now for the Metal C, because I got to say I'm excited about this one. I know they're working on it. I know it's getting ready to come. And that's what I have on screen for you guys now. You guys can see I'm recording everything. I should be doing a screen capture here so you can see my little mouse moving around and all this. So this is new for me, new for y'all. Let's see how it works. I do have the map pulled up here on Vassal. Now, I like Vassal. I think it's cool. But like I said, I am a very analog guy. I'm old-fashioned, even though I'm, I guess, younger than most wargamers. And I like having it in front of me. But there are so many conveniences when it comes to Vassal, because you don't have to worry about having everything laid out. All the dice are like up here. You can do a 1d6 roll, 2d6, 3d6, or you can do the d6s with the close air support die. I was poking around at that earlier. I thought that looked kind of neat. So you can have close air support. They've got all the markers, the orders of battle. But we'll take a look at that here in a sec. Now, it appears from our map view here that this area is where the original Thunder in the East took place, and a lot of that looks familiar. I'm not entirely sure where Thunder in the East leaves off and where the Metal C is going to pick up. I think maybe this line right here should be the split, because you've got Thunder in the East 2 and 4, and I'm guessing that's the second and fourth maps. So this should be the line. Now, of course, let's zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. This is the graphics from the original. All right, so if you've played that game, you'll recognize this, map setup. And all of this over here, this newer looking stuff, I'm guessing this is just a placeholder graphics for now until they, finalize it and flesh out the maps. But you can see how the rivers line up and the mountains and everything. Let's see if we got it. Yeah, they've just got the dark brown representing where the mountains are, dark green for the trees. But I would guesstimate that the Metal C, will look very similar to this. I don't know for sure, but I would say it would be a fair guess. Now, looking around at the top up here, let's see, if we click on the markers, oh wow, you can pull up so much stuff. Naval markers. All right, so you've got like your countdown markers, improved positions, your fortified positions, stuff like we had before, Axis and Allied control, Soviet control. So it looks like this game, the Metal C, is going to have the Allies, the Soviets, and the Axis involved, because of course the Thunder in the East only had the Axis and the Soviets. You didn't have any of the Allies, but we are definitely going to have the Allies on this one. So we've got map markers. So these just look like your generic, like, informational counter type stuff here. And then naval. And naval is going to be the big thing that's going to be new in the Metal C versus Thunder in the East, because we didn't have any naval operations. Or, I mean, there was some naval, but it was very minor compared to what's going to be in this. Let's see. Hits versus damage counter, what we've got located up here. A refit, repair, inshore red, inshore white. I'm not sure what any of that means. Commenced, naval base, repair. Oh, I guess there'll be naval base repair. UK NOPs, Naval Operation Point. Maybe that's something they would use to purchase units. Axis Medport, Air Raid End, Okay, a lot of interesting stuff. I like this Vassal stuff where you can just kind of click through it and see everything that is going to be involved. And they've got cargo, control, attack, partisan, but that was in the previous one. Oh, the odds markers. What? Okay, why is it only the question mark? Maybe that's just the placeholder for now. Because if you guys remember from the previous one, all right, how do I get this to go away? Do I click? Yeah, I clicked there. When you would have an attack going on, you would put a marker indicating the odds, whether it was 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, upwards, I think, to 8-to-1 odds. And then you could have a 1-to-2, I think was as low as it went. But you really wanted to try to be at least like 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 conducting an attack, or you didn't really do too good. I know with Thunder in the East, the first one, that it was all about the attacker. Like, you really needed to be on the attack. It wasn't very, the combat results table was not very good for the defender. Actually, let's take a look up here. We should be able to see it. Let's see. Air combat results table, ground combat results table. Okay, here we go. All right, so looking at our table here, this is actually the ground combat results table, and it looks like it's going to be the same that we had previously. It goes all the way from 1-to-2 here on the left up to 8-to-1. Weather effects on how it's going to affect it, and then an explanation of what all that stuff means, whether it's attacker loss, attacker compress, no effect, stalemate, exchange. And the big thing I liked about this, right, was like the breakthrough mechanics, especially when it came to blah 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 Blitzkrieg, because Blitzkrieg was such a large portion of the German attacks, and they wanted to get around, do that kind of hammer and anvil attack, get some units behind the enemy counters, and then smash them with their front line so they wouldn't have any areas to retreat to. They would have zones of control surrounding them. And I remember that was my big strategy on the Axis. So I'm looking forward to seeing that be redone here again in the Middle Sea. And it looks like they're sticking with the same type of color coding that they did before. All right, now maybe not as much on this. Where is the sequence? Here we go. You see they got the same color coding that they had in Thunder in the East, where this orangish brown color here kind of represents the campaign, and then I think yellow was optional rules, and then blue was like air rules. And one of the big things that I liked about Thunder in the East was the multiple movement phases. All right, so you had here, we see our special movement phase. Oh, let's see. Oh, look at that. I can draw a little box around it. How cool is that? It's the little things that keeps Gippy happy. Check that shit out. All right, so you draw a little box. Oh, look at that. So right here, our special movement phase. Then you would have your combat phase, and then you would have your regular movement phase. And that was really great to kind of represent the fact that motorized units, the tanks and stuff like that, could move faster than your regular units, right? Like your infantry, they'd be slower. So they would get extra moves, and they might only move half their movement allowance during the special phase, or they might move full during their special movement phase. But it gave you a chance to kind of rearrange things to catch your opponent by surprise. That was one of my big likes when it came to Thunder in the East, was this delineation between the two different movement phases when it came to the game, and the combat phase in between that. Really like that. And it looks like really they're just taking what was great about Thunder in the East and just carrying that shit on right along into a different area, and then adding, a lot of naval to it. So we've looked at the sequence of play. What kind of charts do we have here? Oh, this is something I definitely wanted to talk about. I saw this earlier. All right, so this is our build cost chart. And if you guys remember, we had personnel points, we had equipment points, we had fuel points, and you would need some combination of those, or to use so many of those to buy units from your force pool. Actually, let me pull up a force pool here as well. Where's our Axis force pool? We'll talk about that as well. Okay. Oh, and they bring back the change box. I love that. All right, we'll talk about that in a sec. So we see our Axis force pool over here, and then up here was the part where you would keep track of your resources. So let's see, they have rail points and your EP right here, your equipment points, and then their personnel points, fuel points, all that good stuff was kept track of. Let's see, can I expand this out? I should be able to. Yeah, we can expand this out. Look at that. Everything's so much easier on a computer, isn't it? It's just great. All right, so right over here is our force pool, and those items would be available for purchase if you had the right amount of points to spend, and you can only spend up to so many points per turn. And the thing is in Thunder in the East, it was more of this. There weren't a whole lot of units that took too long to get on the board. The big thing was your headquarters units, and you see right here that's still there. They will come onto the board with like a countdown marker. And let's see, I might even be able to pull that up too. Oh, look, I can pull stuff up so well. Oh, I don't know. Can I? Yeah. Okay. See, this over here was our countdown marker. Right. Oh, if I pull it off, I'd be throwing it on the board. So you put a -3. You see -3 there, and then that would go down as the game would progress, right? So as the turns would go on, you need 3 turns before that unit will become actually available, that headquarters unit. Well, it looks like that they're going hardcore at it with the naval. When you look down here at the build cost chart, we see battleships or battle cruisers. They're not a few turns or a countdown marker. This is 48 months. That's 4 years of game time to build this. I mean, it's only showing 1 personnel point plus 2 equipment points to build, and that's in red. I don't remember what the red represents as far as the game's concerned, but we'll get to that later. But so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. 48 months. I mean, hell, I want to say like an 11 video series on Thunder in the East, and only played maybe, God, what was it? 2 weeks of in-game time, maybe. Somewhere around there. No, maybe it was either 2 weeks or 2 months or something like that. It was not that long of a time. So that's just awesome to see this simulated into the game. And you see they've got other stuff besides that. So you got your battleships, your heavy carrier, your light carrier cruisers, escort carrier task force, your submarine, merchant shipping, your transport. So they're going all out as far as naval is concerned in this game, and I really like that. It's just, I've seen other games do bad when they try to go with naval, and it gets kind of fiddly in the rules. And like I said, I haven't read the rules on this, but I'm expecting good things because they worked so hard to streamline and make Thunder in the East easy to play for a game of its size. And you guys know I got shit for brains, and if I can remember the basics of Thunder in the East after all this time, I could sit down with it and dumb my way through it, even though I haven't played it in a fair amount of time. That shows you that they did a relatively good job with the rules. And obviously, showing as we're still having the display chart up over here on the left, the change box is obviously coming back into play, and that was one of my big favorites as well when it came to the game, because you could switch things in and out. And remember, I made the comparison that it's kind of like a cash register that had to remain even on its money. So whatever you took out, you had to put back in. This wasn't an extra force pool, so you couldn't take units out to just throw them on the board, but you could combine those smaller core units into like an army-sized unit that had really, really good stats, So they're definitely going to be bringing that back. That is great to see. So this is our Axis chart. Let's take a look at the Allied force pool and see what that looks like real quick. All right, so here's the Allied pool. Can I expand this? No, it doesn't look like I can expand that one. It's just a little smaller. And they're bringing back the core remnants over here. It doesn't look like the Allied force pool starts with near as much in it as the Axis does. They've got their own little change box over here. And I'm not sure which size. This looks like Soviets, but I'm not sure who the green ones are. And like I said, guys, don't hold it against me. I have not read the new rule book for Middle C yet. This, like I said, is just a kind of experiment for me to see how well it works with the recording software and kind of let you guys see some of the new components for this as I dumb my way through it. But definitely like this, like seeing this coming back. The core remnants that I keep mentioning over here, that had to do when you had a larger size unit take a few different step losses, because some of these large units, like the big ones up here, damn. Okay, yeah, look, it pops up on the thing. Well, hold it. Let's see if I can get that back up. All right, boom. You see how those counters have the 4 dots in the upper right? That means it's a 4-step unit. That's easy to understand, really easy to remember. I love that. But sometimes when you were breaking those units down as they took damage, you might end up with what's called the core remnants. All right, so that's where those units come into play. Like if they only had one step left, that's where you were going to draw these counters and have those replace them. So there's the Allied box. Let's see what other charts we have. Move ops. What is the movement operations chart? I think this is new. I'm not entirely sure because I don't remember a movement box for Thunder in the East. I could be wrong on this, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this game having heavier movement rules, especially since there are so many more naval rules coming into play. Yeah, overrun results. I remember this being... No, yeah, that wasn't the game because you could do overrun. The unit had to be heavy, like a tank unit, overrunning someone, and they had to have, I think, like 3 or 4 times their attack strength. Look, if the overrunning unit has an attack strength between 5 and 9, yeah, I can't remember the specific rules. I'd have to relook that up. But all right, so that's their movement chart. Moving air bases, see weather effects, see naval missions. What is all this here? Okay, so this is when we're getting into amphibious operations, coastal defense, amphibious landings, moving via the strategic transit mat. I have no idea what that is, but that sounds like probably like a holding box to transfer units between different zones. That would be my guess. All ships and cargo move one connected box in each direction on the strategic transit mat during the Allied special movement. Assume intrinsic transports are carrying RPs and ground units. When reaching the port said Suez box, so Suez Canal, cargo disembarks and naval units are placed on the map at Port Said. I know that that's probably not said, so Said. It's major port or in Suez and or Al-Kabah. I don't know. I'm probably messing that up. I am not sure how all that's going to work out, but like I said, my guess is the holding boxes for transfer of units. Let's take a look, see if I remember where Suez Canal is. Isn't it down over here somewhere? You guys are going to laugh. Well, there's Suez, so I know I'm in the ballpark. This looks like it might be the holding box they're referring to. I'm not entirely sure on that one. It looks like we've got another naval holding box here as well, though. If we see these units, let's zoom in a little bit here. All right, so we've got... Oh, look at all these. I'm guessing that those propeller... all right, come back up. Hold on, let me try this again. All right, I'm guessing those propellers at the bottom have to do with maybe their speed. More propellers equals go faster would be my guess. And it looks like they have the same type of lightning bolt symbols that the aircraft did. If you guys remember from Thunder in the East, the original, the aircraft would contribute lightning bolts, red lightning bolts being better than white lightning bolts, and they would basically add dice to an attack. Like if they were doing close air support for a ground attack, they would add their special dice, which could give you column shifts on the ground results table. So that was really a cool thing. My guess is the combat for the naval aspect of this is going to be similar in that vein, since it looks like they have the same type of stats. I'm not sure exactly. Above the lightning bolt, you see the 3 and the shield icon. The shield icon meant that it was like armored for the aircraft, so it kind of gave them a +1 in combat with other aircraft. So I'm guessing that, well, since all of those are battleships, I'm going on the thought that they would be more heavily armored, so they're going to have a bonus against enemy naval aircraft. Not sure what the 3 is. My guess would be something like a combat stat. Don't quote me on that yet, but that would be my guess. And especially since, yeah, that would kind of make sense, because the Warspite, the 4th one there, if I remember my history right from watching the Mighty Jingles, love the Mighty Jingles. By the way, if you guys haven't watched him, go check him out. The guy has a huge channel, awesome as hell. He loves the Warspite. He talked about it a lot. And if I remember right, it was basically a battle cruiser that just had bigger guns put on it. So it wasn't as heavily armored, which would explain why it doesn't have the shield icon on it. Now, I'm not sure on those smaller ones, those light cruisers or that light carrier there. The light carrier looks like it's got a torpedo marker, but I'm not... Does that mean that they have torpedo bombers that they can use, or they've got torpedo shielding? Not sure. Like I said, I'd have to dig into the rules, but I am really liking what I'm seeing so far because I loved the way that the aircraft were handled in Thunder in the East. They were abstracted enough that you weren't like overwhelmed with trying to keep track of them, but they were like deeply involved in the combat because you could use them to, like, there was the back and forth dance between the escorts that were trying to guide the bombers in to do close air support. So you would have to win the air-to-air engagement, and hopefully you would have some support aircraft left after the air-to-air engagement that could help your ground troops, and it could go either way. And it looks kind of like they're going in that same vein with the naval, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. All right, so let's back out and take a look at a few other things while we're here. All right, so order of battle. This we haven't looked at just yet, but if you guys remember, again, I'm always talking about the original Thunder in the East. They had this here at the top. This whole section was dated, and it's the same way here. You can see it's July. I think that says 1940. It's kind of small on my screen, but it goes throughout the course of the war, right? Because new units were deployed, came into being, new technology, so they'd have newer aircraft at certain times of the conflict. That's what this all represents here when it comes to their order of battle. And the way that I did it, and I really liked it, was I would take all these counters and I would place them on the order of the battle. So I would cover this up with that specific counter, so I knew when I hit that portion of the game, I would get access to those specific units. Really, really, really like that. Let's see, down here at the bottom, it looks like just a whole bunch of reminders about some other smaller units. Vichy France, Europe invaded, Italy collapses. Now, this, I think, has to do more with the Mediterranean and Northern Africa and a little bit of Southern Europe. If I remember correctly, they are planning on doing a third in the series, which is going to be dealing with the northern section of Europe, which I do assume will overlap with all this. Just imagine how awesome it will be to, let's pull this up, to have this game set up, have Thunder in the East set up over here, and have the Middle Sea set up over here, and then up above this to have whatever the third in the series is all going to be set up and all be able to be played all at the same time. That would just blow my mind. I mean, you need a table like 8 feet by 8 feet to do it, but it would just be so awesome to play them all at the same time. Now, they are going to have decks and cards and events in the game as well. Same thing that you guys saw just a little bit of in my playthrough. They did have, what was it called? It was like light, medium, and heavy as far as the cards were concerned. It seems like they're doing the same thing. See, this one says small. Is there a large? That other one was a medium. Basically, the cards had a different value. Oh, yeah. See, this one is a large. If I'm reading that right. Oh, there it is. Major. There at the top. Major cards and minor cards. Is this one? I say major. Are there any minor cards here? It's a major. All right. This one's a minor. So it was kind of like buying troops. You could draw, I think it was either one major or two minor cards per turn or per segment of the game that you could play. When it comes to card play like this, I think this comes more into play in a heads-up match of Thunder in the East than it does when you're playing Solitaire. And it's just me personally. Event cards like this, I don't tend to use as much when I'm playing Solitaire. I like to have, my forces versus their forces and just do it that way because I don't have someone sitting across from me to, play the cards out. But like I said, the Thunder in the East was one of those games that was streamlined enough that you could play it just two-handed it, playing both sides to the best of your ability. And because they had done their best to streamline the game, it really, really played well Solitaire. All right, so let's take a look a little bit here. Admiralty. This is something that is new. I have not seen this before. Admiralty Mat, naval operation turns remaining. I am not sure. I have no idea how this is going to be used. Home Fleet Reserve. This looks like it has something to do with the British naval forces being involved in the combat. Naval operation point values, HT, AT, fast, 2 propellers. So yeah, it looks like the propellers equal whether they're fast or slow. Slow, 1 propeller, and or vulnerable. Yeah, that's right. The 8-ball represented they were vulnerable, and the shield represented they were strong. So I am right about that. But this one, can I get that? Oh, it pops up small. If you look right here, there's a blue torpedo looking marker instead of a red torpedo marker. Maybe that's similar to the lightning bolts. Not sure. We'll have to see how the naval rules end up playing out. See, transit map. Okay, look at this. This is what they were talking about earlier. Can I expand this out so you guys can see a little better? Zoom in. Nope. Go the other way. Here we go. There we go. We'll make this work. We'll make this work. Okay. And it looks like you will put your forces, your naval forces, on this mat in between transferring to different areas. North American theater, so USA, Canada, and then it'll be in the Central Atlantic, and they can go into the UK region. Or they can go to the Canary Islands and then transfer down to the Gulf of Guinea, West Indian. Okay, all right, I see how this is. Yeah, we've seen naval operations done like this before, where basically your unit will transfer to somewhere off the map, off the actual game map over here, and then, transfer to wherever they're going. But it looks like it could take you a few turns if you're going somewhere far out. Like if you're going from North America to Africa, you've got to hit a few stops along your way. You can't just go straight over there. So yeah, I like that. All right, let's see what else we've got. We hit that. That's our transit mat. We looked at the Allied Order of Battle. Oh, no, we did not look at the Allied Order of Battle, but here is the Allied Order of Battle for you guys to take a peek at real quick. Looks like heavy British forces, which isn't really surprising in this. I would expect that since Britain was heavily involved in Northern Africa. And then I expect America to start hitting in depending on the year. Let's see. Yep, here we go. 1942, some American forces, but none of them are showing up here at the top because they weren't involved yet. Yep, here we go. This is October 1941. So America would have been involved in January of 1942 on, and that's when you start seeing their forces show up. And yeah, Northern Africa is one of the first places they went, or we went, should I say. So yeah, all right, I like this. I might have to, it's kind of funny when I play solitaire, I'm playing both sides to the best of my ability, but just in the back of my mind, I always think of one side as my side. And when I played Thunder in the East, I thought of as the Germans as my side. Like, all right, this is my side, and the Russian side is the bad guy. And I still try to do the best, but I mean, I don't think anyone can, be perfectly unbiased on it. But I wanted to see the Germans succeed in their attacks. And this one, since America's in it, I think I'm definitely going to have to pick the Allies to go as my forces of choice. I don't know, when I do a playthrough on this, I'm probably going to maybe pick a scenario that starts later, because on Thunder in the East I picked Barbarossa, which started early on. I might see if there's a scenario that starts around here so I can have U.S. forces involved. All right, so let's see what else they have. What is this? Reserves. Just theater reserves. It looks like you can have units who will get added in Eastern Europe, South Europe, Northwestern Africa. So it looks kind of like how the map itself is divided up. Top, middle, bottom. And they are doing different weather as well. Let's zoom in. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. You can see it's clear weather here, but we've got clear weather here, and then down here, clear weather. So it looks like you're going to have to keep track of the weather in Northern Africa, and then the weather in the Mediterranean, and then the weather in Southern Europe, Middle Europe, just depending on where you're at. And let's see, Yugoslavia, looks like just a few troops for them. Minor setup, Vichy, Africa, Yugoslavia, Hungary. So this, okay. I see what you're saying. One of the things I also liked about Thunder in the East is they had a nice list when it came to setting up the game, and it told you who went where and all the other good stuff. And it looks like that's what this is over here. Is that available here on Vassal? I'm not sure if it would be, since it sets up most of your units, so you might not need that. Mini map. Oh, you can have that on screen. It shows you where all you're at. Oh, and you can zoom around. Isn't Vassal just great? Look at it. Gotta love it. All right, cut that off. What is this? Staging area. Okay, that has to be for like naval landings or airdrops, paradrops. Not sure what all that's going to be. All right, I think we've covered most of it. Battle. What is this? Naval engagement. Okay, let's see what this says. Advantage reserve. ASW attacks and carrier airstrikes can be launched from your reserve. All air and submarine attack hits can target these naval units at the firing player's discretion. No surface attack hits here until all of their screening battle line units have hits equal to their current damage control values. Alright, so it seems like they're going for the kind of naval battles that you saw a lot in the Pacific, and I'm not entirely sure on the Mediterranean because I haven't schooled myself as much on that as I have the Pacific because I love the Marines. But that the aircraft carriers would be kind of in the back, and that you would have the battleships and cruisers up in the front doing the heavy slugging, and the carriers obviously behind launching aircraft. So it seems like in the game there's rules for your units that when they're doing a naval attack, they have to attack the front line first. They can't hit the back with, their main hitters, their battleships, until they've got rid of the battle line itself. But there are other things that can hit the back as well, like a carrier airstrike. Advantaged battle line, warship units only. Submarine and surface fire attacks must originate from their respective battle lines. You, the advantaged player, place all surface fire hits achieved by both sides. Wow, you get to decide where the hits go. That's nice. Apply surface fire hits to opposing battle line until its naval units have hits equal to their current damage control values. Disadvantaged battle line, warship units only. Your opponent, the advantaged player, places all surface fire hits achieved by both sides. Disadvantaged reserve. After a naval engagement, the following units must retire. All naval units in that sea zone belonging to the vanquished player. All of the victor's battle line naval units. Damaged reserve naval units and all carriers, CV, CVL, that launched an airstrike. This, like I said, is really reminding me a lot of the way aircraft were handled in Thunder in the East, but I think it's more in depth. Actually, where is that? Air chart. Oh, I saw it earlier. Is it this one? Yeah. All right. In the previous one, we had available, flown, and then damaged. This doesn't appear to have damaged. It just has available and flown. But my guess is that naval are going to participate similar to that. That they're going to have their ready forces, their getting ready forces, and then maybe their damage forces. That would be my guess. That's the way aircraft kind of operated. I'm assuming they're going to be similar in that vein, but we'll have to see. Obviously, like I said, I'm going to be doing more videos on it. But I do like how they have this broken down between South Europe, desert, and East Europe. So your aircraft can't just target anywhere. All right, so when we were doing Thunder in the East, all of this was just one area, right? This was all one section. This was all one section, right? Because it was all in the same theater. Well, these are different theaters, so you can't have aircraft just going everywhere willy-nilly. You have to keep your aircraft that are located in a certain area to that certain area when they're conducting an attack. My guess is you probably will be able to transfer them around, but we'll have to see how that pans out. Alright, anyway, so that's just the basic gist of a quick overview. Like I said, I'm doing this video just to kind of practice with my screen recording, with my audio, see how well this is all working out, but this gives me a good subject to talk about. I gotta say, the Middle Sea is shaping up really nice. I think it's gonna be a lot more in depth. It's gonna be a lot more of what I liked about Thunder in the East, but in a more favorable theater of action, should I say? Because for me, I know a lot of people love the Eastern Front of World War II. It's not my favorite. Mine was the Pacific. I love the Pacific, but the Western European theater was more entertaining to me, or something I studied a lot more than the Eastern theater. But it looks like you're going to have to keep track of multiple different theaters here. You're going to have to keep track of your European theater and the troops that are fighting there. You're going to have to keep track of your Northern Africa theater and then your naval troops that are all operating in between both of everything. So this is shaping up to be a real nice game. You guys stay tuned. I will have more information in the game popping up here soon. I am, now that I've gone ahead and downloaded Vassal, I'm going to go ahead, read through the rules, try to learn a little bit of this that I don't already know from Thunder of the East, and maybe give a little demonstration of how the naval combat's going to operate. So if you guys want to see something like that, feel free to put the comments down below. Let me know what you think of this screen recording and Vassal stuff that I'm doing now in digital editions. All right, that's going to be it for me. You guys take care. I'll catch you in the next one.